Hey people, how are you all, and Happy New Year! I honestly can't believe I got this video up on time, because I've had some major technical issues the last few days. Everything from my pen not working, I did half the drawing for this video this morning, and then I tried to record my audio, and it all recorded really quietly with this weird hissing noise in the background, so I'm now re-recording that at like 3:30, but here I am. Hopefully this is up on time, otherwise I'm going to need to re-record this intro, which I don't know if I can be bothered doing. Now, around early January, I tend to make a Draw This Again video of this redhead queen character I created back in 2020. However, this year I really couldn't be bothered to draw her. I couldn't get up the motivation, I couldn't find the inspiration to do anything new with her. She's actually just a sim that I created and figured I'd draw a couple of years back, and I never even played with her that much. She doesn't really have that much of a backstory or a personality or anything, particularly when you compare her to some of my newer original characters and things I made for my comic. So I decided, damn it all, let's draw what I actually feel like drawing and draw Kakashi and Guy. In a weird way, these guys are almost an even longer running Draw This Again challenge, as my first queen drawing is from January 2020, so just 3 years ago, whereas the first Kakashi and Guy drawing I can find is from 2017. Although, admittedly, I didn't actually draw them much between 2017 and 2020 because I had a bit of a blip with my art after my GCSEs finished, but it's still really cool to find one that's that old. And I actually find them to be a much better gauge for my improvement than the queen drawing because it's characters interacting with each other, which is more of the stuff I tend to draw anyway. I don't often draw characters by themselves because it's just not as interesting. Plus, they are one of my favourite ships of all time. They have probably been eclipsed recently by The Ineffable Husbands and Gentlebeard, but they're so well written. It's the grumpy one and the sunshine one trope, but without all that thing where you're kind of constantly doubting that the grumpy one actually cares at all, and maybe you're just imagining it. Like, the show always makes it so clear that Kakashi not only cares about Guy, but massively respects him and his skills, and is more than willing to be silly and playful around him and let his guard down around him. And, you know, whilst there are a couple moments where some of the other characters seem shocked or confused that Guy is Kakashi's rival, Kakashi never denies it, and whilst he occasionally pretends to ignore Guy, it's very clear that they both are in on the joke, and you never get the impression that Guy doesn't feel appreciated by Kakashi, and they're just so silly and cool. And I love that whenever Kakashi gets promoted, when he's the head of the 4th Division in the Shinobi War, when he becomes Hokage, he's like, well, this is the guy I want as my right-hand man because I do not trust anybody more than this goofy idiot. They're both so dumb and chaotic, and I love them. But also, I've probably talked enough about their relationship and why I love it in my many previous redraws of this couple. So let's just get on to talking about the actual art. Now, my specific goals for this redraw included a couple of things. First, I really wanted to get better at drawing Guy in his wheelchair. My last drawing of these two back in April was my first attempt at this, and whilst I think it went okay, I wasn't quite happy with the way in which the two characters were interacting around the wheelchair. You're kind of more limited on poses, I suppose. And also just the perspective on Kakashi's character in general wasn't quite working right. The faces were in a bit of an odd perspective that I couldn't get to work, and so I wanted to improve on that. My other main goal was to try focus on getting a good overall colour palette for this piece. Cohesive colours are something I've noticed a lot of artists I really love are really good at, particularly Leolin on Instagram. I might leave a link to them because I love their art, it's beautiful. It's Arthuriana, so, you know, my niche. But they always do like 2 colours or like maybe 3 colours at most, with like one that clearly highlights and draws the eye to certain things. And I wanted to try and see if I could do that or do something at least a little bit more cohesive than what I'm used to. I also wanted to try and improve my background skills too, but there's nothing particularly new about that as a fact. That's kind of where all of these speed paints end up going, and it's a resolution I make every year, but that's something I wanted to try with this specific piece. I'm actually super happy with how the pose turned out for this, which is good. You know, resolution 1 sorted. I absolutely adore the sketch, I'm super proud of it. I did a little colour test on it, and I am so happy with the way it looks. In fact, I do like the sketch more than I think I like the final piece, but I am pretty proud of the final piece, so it's not too bad. I've been doodling similar poses for a while, trying to kind of work out how I wanted this to function. I think doing all those little thumbnails really helped with this. And I just really want to get kind of the vibe of a sleepy, fed-up Kakashi who has gone to go cuddle his husband to recharge from the ridiculous job he never asked for. I kind of wanted that domesticity and cuteness and softness to it. I did, however, end up reshuffling a little bit as during the line art stage, namely after the many attempts to draw the feet and get them right, I had to cut them out of the painting because the annoying ninja sandals that they all wear show their toes, and Guy's cast also shows his toes, and toes are really hard to draw in the right perspective. I couldn't find a reference for what I wanted, and I wasn't really willing to spend too long Googling pictures of feet on the internet because I'm, not a psychopath. So I just cut them out and cropped the painting in a little bit, and I think it looks a lot better this way. I also notably redrew Kakashi's hair many, many times trying to get it to work. I've never been that great at drawing short hair, and whilst Kakashi's is long enough that usually I wouldn't struggle because he does have quite long strands of hair, the spikiness of it causes all the same problems that I have with short hair in that I have to try and understand how the layers of hair work, which is something I've never quite wrapped my head around, and you can sort of get away with when you're drawing much longer hair because it just sort of lies on top of each other. I also fixed up Kakashi's eye a couple of times, but that's mostly because I wanted to be clear he was smiling without shutting the eye like they do in the anime, and, the mask makes drawing expressions on Kakashi really quite difficult. I wanted him to be looking at Guy, but also smiling, and so I tweaked the eye repeatedly, even right at the end once I'd done all the shading. I was messing around with that eye trying to get it to work, but I think I'm quite proud of how it turned out, so that's good. I ran into a few problems whilst colouring this piece as well, namely that the vibe I was going for was probably more suited to a lineless style, something that really only occurred to me after I'd spent ages on the line art for it, and I wasn't willing to scrap it at that point. I've only ever done one lineless piece that I was really proud of, and for that I had a very close reference, which I obviously didn't have here, and I didn't have, any people to photograph to kind of make said reference if I wanted to kind of make my own, and so I think I probably made the right call not ditching the lines completely, because I don't think it would have turned out as well as I would have liked. As a sort of compromise for this, I kind of changed the line colour on Kakashi's hair a little bit in an attempt to kind of get it to look softer and floofier and kind of round out those edges a bit more, and I think that did really work. That said, there are elements of the colouring that I'm really happy with, notably the fold on Kakashi's Hokage gown and the hat. Fabric is really, really hard, but here it actually looks like it's flowing properly and there aren't any weird lumps under it or anything, and I'm really super proud of that. Also, Guy's scars. The way I did them was very simple and it was literally just an overlay layer, but I think it looks really effective. It kind of gives the slight glowy effect that he gets when he opens the 8 gates. I'm aware that canonically speaking, Guy doesn't actually have any scars, but I've always headcanoned them for him, and I think they're really fun to draw, and they're a kind of really important part of the kind of headcanon I have of what the domestic KakaGai life looked like after the 4th Shinobi War, and they're very fun, and I think they make his character look a lot more interesting. Finally, the background and lighting. I'm not sure whether I'm going to leave it in the video, it'll depend on how long the voiceover is compared to how long the speed paint is, but I did originally plan on going a completely different direction with the colours. I was going to do a nighttime scene with a blue tint and a white rim light coming in through the window, but personally I'm really glad I didn't do that. I spent a while drawing out a whole background. There is a whole element of this video that is me painting a background I never used. But I really like the way I chose to go instead. Not only did the background for this piece turn out really cool in the end, turns out going really simple with the trees is absolutely the way to go. I'm really happy with those trees. I also just think it has such good vibes and such happy kind of hopeful spring vibes. Cherry Blossom is such a positive and kind of pretty note to start 2023 on, and I love the little golden floaty sunlight dots, and I'm just really happy with it all, way it all ties in together, how it highlights the red on the wheelchair and the hat, and it just makes everything look so much softer and more adorable, and that was absolutely what I was kind of going for, and so I'm very proud of it. So, having kind of created this piece with goals in mind, I'm kind of looking at what my art goals going forward for the rest of 2023 might be. Firstly, I want to crack the short hair thing. I've been complaining about this for years, since I first watched Good Omens, which must have been, I think that was mid-2020, And I think it's time I finally bite the bullet and actually just learn. I need to put some time aside to look at proper references for it, or maybe do some OC drawings with some of my shorter-haired characters to better work out what I want to draw short hair like, how I want to put it on the page. I have a method for drawing noses, a method for constructing longer hair, a method for how I draw hands and how I build them up with my sketch, and I think I need to work that out with short hair, rather than what I'm doing at the minute, which is kind of drawing lots of lines, which sort of look good on the sketch because your brain sort of uses pattern recognition to work out which ones it should be looking at, and then trying to do the line art and it never working because the lines aren't clear enough. And I think I just really need to get some more practice in at that. I also want to do more colour work. Whilst I'm pretty happy with this, it did end up very red-toned, possibly a little bit flat, although not as much as the last piece I did, so I'm quite proud of that. But I'd like to see if I can mix colours more subtly and kind of learn how to coordinate colours for multiple characters and settings and things, and have lots of colours in there but also have them work well together, if that makes sense, without everything looking so monochrome. In terms of more generally art things, I'd like to post more, and possibly be less precious about what I post. In my next term at uni, we're doing a fair few design modules, so hopefully I should have more sketches and doodles to upload for you all, and I'm really looking forward to that. In this first term, we've done a lot of actual animation work, and because it's not a skill I've tried before, my animation work isn't quite at the same level as some of my drawings, and I've not been willing to put it up here on my YouTube or put it on my Instagram because I know that it will bring the overall quality of everything down. But hopefully next term I should have lots of character sketches and background drawings and much more of the stuff I'm used to kind of put up here. I'm really hoping I can share some storyboards, that kind of thing. I'd also like to try and get better at organising my time. Almost all my time at the minute is spent on uni work or occasionally my comic, and I do love creating both. I'm really proud of how far I've come with my comic. But I also love drawing fan art and making animatics. I have so much stuff I want to create, particularly animatics, buzzing around inside my head, and I would love to be able to find time to draw it all, or at least find time to draw more of it, and I think part of that is working out how to balance the amount of work I'm doing and when I'm doing different bits of work. And lastly, I suppose, is a little bit of a superficial one, but thanks to everyone who's been watching my Flag Means Death animatics, I'm now at just over 800 subscribers, which is both very cool and kind of terrifying, but I think that maybe by January 2024, I'd like to try hit 1,000. It's going to be difficult, but it's something to shoot for, and I'm really looking forward to trying to hit that goal. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I am always looking for new ideas for content, so please do comment down below what kind of videos you'd like to see in 2023, or even just things that I've done before that you've enjoyed. You know, do you like the original character and comic work? Do you like the fan art? Do you like the animatics? Which, I mean, the views would suggest people like the animatics, but they take a while, so I'm getting there. I've got another Our Flag Means Death animatic half done. Maybe I'll finish that one over Easter. But I hope you all have an excellent rest of your day and a lovely new year. Happy 2023. Bye!